With that being said, also, well, let's just tell them GLHF and start the game.
Well, bans that you can expect, we're going to say utility bans like Nomad, Gridlock, people who can shut down rotations from the defense to where it can make it a roamer's game. Alongside, I'd probably say Thatcher just to cover all of your hard breacher bases if we are going for more of a standard banning composition. But other than that, maybe Capitao or somebody who can shut down hard breacher, somebody who just complements any utility size push. Now, on sided defense, though, I'd say somebody intel based, somebody that can do well with plant denial, because of course you want to cover all of your angles, all of your lines that can be held inside of the objective as well as outside, so you can aid your roamers, which would be huge for the attackers to take away from you, like Echo, Maestro, Mozzie, and Valkyrie. Those would be big. You can definitely expect that. Blackbeard, of course, he is more of a comfort to ban more than anything else, due to the fact that he can repel and have an extra life, essentially, with his shield on his gun. You basically can take a headshot and keep going.
Oh yeah, and this map especially does offer some great repelling sights. You know, some other maps,
Right.
for example, I know it's not a pro league map, but Outback has next to no repel spots whatsoever, since there's this balcony all around the map, and as such, Blackbeard has really no place on Outback. Unlike here, you know, the few windows can be really dangerous if you're not careful. And you know, you were talking about intel. Well, Echo and Valkyrie being taken off the board, that comes to absolutely no surprise, especially considering that this is one of Valkyrie's stronger maps. You know, there are a lot of windows on which we can repel, like I just said. Well, that means attackers staying outside, i.e., outdoor cameras can be really important. Plus, you can really easily hide them in the palm trees, well, due to their general shape. And once again, this is why Valkyrie will be taken off the board. Echo, I don't have to go into specifics, right? He's great at intel. His cameras, in that case drones, are really easy to hide and thus stay stealthy. Plus, well, what can I say? He's also really good at preventing the diffuser from being planted, and in a late game situation, that can mean quite literally the victory or the difference between winning or losing a round.
Yeah, I honestly can't agree with you more. And interestingly, we're going to be seeing our first objective being played as Garage Cafeteria. Now, normally you'd see this as a secondary objective, but I'm very excited to see how the defense is going to play this, because this meta is very open to interpretation, especially Garage and Cafeteria. It can be played a lot of different ways. The common meta nowadays normally is to play within the bathroom, but you can kind of shift around with that idea, holding roamers in different places. But of course, the main idea is to prevent those attackers from hitting the piano and bathroom, because it can mean big verticality opportunities for them and grant them a huge foothold into the objective. But other than that, I'd say, you know, Vigil, he could definitely do a lot of work for the defenders, so you wouldn't necessarily have to hold a...
Plus, we've just castled
direct
Protest Champions, and Chopper Mandino was absolutely the top fragger from his team, and by far. So, no matter what the outcome is, no matter if Protest Champions win or not, I do expect Chopper Mandino of being, at the very least, the top fragger of his team. Should his team win, well, the top fragger of the game as a whole. But with that being said, he seems to have been droned out, and definitely he seems to be pretty cautious here. He's not just running around like he has free reign over this general area of the map. We do see a Silhouette over there droning out, and he shuts down the drone, so obviously they're going to know he's there. He's also fairly close to the yellow stairs, so that's another angle from which he might be receiving pressure. And as such, he still has control of this area of the map, but he is being really cautious. And right here, he's back in the staircase. He knows when it's time to retreat. You would rather, you know, concede a bit of space, you know, take a few steps back in exchange for time, rather than being flat out dead. The big problem is going to be Jackal, however. Jackal has tagged him, and now the attackers are absolutely working in a coordinated fashion to take him out of the board.
Alright, so our first blood of the round, that's going to be on Zofia. She unfortunately got Nitro Cell out, but that is going to be your huge utility operator alongside with fragging opportunities for your team. So that's bad. And alongside Nomad, she's going to be taken out as well. That's big for post plant. So not as much security for the post plant and the attack. So sad. But 3-4 situation, we're going to be seeing the attack responding to that, taking out Chopper. So unfortunately, his first round's going to be very quiet, but he still hopefully did give a little bit of intel for the defense. Now, we also see a little bit of verticality going on for the attack as well. So Jekyll, he's going to be picking up inside of the piano bathroom area, and Morcito on a double kill rampage. So sad for the defense. So that means that the attack has free reign within the garage potentially. They might be able to make an execute here if the defense doesn't have anything else to say about it, but they do indeed. That's a refrag situation for you. 2v1 flurry of kills going down by the attackers. Well, they're going to have something to say about that, and Morcito finishing off the kill feed for us.
Absolutely nicely done. Well, it was just the first round, right? So we do have a really small sample to go by. However, it does seem to me like this game is set to be fairly, say, fair or fairly narrow or close to the wire, because no team was able to flat out dominate the other, and no matter what either teams threw at the other team, both had a decent enough response to that up until when the diffuser was planted. For example, in the replays, we could see diffuser is being planted. Well, was that, I believe, Chopper Mendino was aware of, Mute was aware of that. He tries to go to prevent the diffuser from being planted. Well, then you have the verticality. Then Bull can also get a few kills, but then it just gets too much. We saw a lot of back and forth in that round, and it's really nice to see when both teams are swift to adapt to whatever the enemy team is doing, and as such, we are set to see a really dynamic game here.
Right, but one thing I really liked about that was the fact that the attack had the biggest initiative to take control of Piano, because they knew deep down that the verticality that Piano held in securing the post plant was huge. I mean, we saw that very directly when the Jekyll was able to get the kill on Smoke, walking right into the garage, and Smoke wasn't able to do anything about it because he already had two guns. You know, he was facing the barrel of two different guns, one holding above him and one holding right in front of his face, who was trying to plant. So really, there was no way in preventing the attack from moving forward with their plan, because they already had top floor, you know, the floor above garage secured. So you can't really expect a retake to be finite at that point. There was no way of doing it other than having to pressure from the exact floor being Piano, and the roam presence was already cleared there, so it was a very easy round for the attack therein.
So we do see a few kills, which I miss all of them, unfortunately. There you go, DK getting a kill on Chopper Mendino, who himself got a nice little double. So the terror on Protest Champions is now being put down, is now being put to rest. This is going to be looking, well, pretty good for Vita. However, they currently are in a disadvantaged position. I do like what Morcito's doing. He's putting some pressure on the bomb site itself through the rappel with, well, please, with IQ, who came up the stairs. She was sure to cover, you know, the potential run-out situation. And right now, please also has a really nice cross angle. So should Morcito get the diffuser planted, Please's positioning could be really strong. However, said strong positioning will be countered by Mozzie, who now gets a double kill. It's now a 2v4 situation, not really going to be easy, and it's especially going to be hard if you have a bull here, right? And your dead angle repelling in was a death sentence in that instance, and that could have been avoided simply by droning out. However, Morcito now in a 1v4 situation does not really seem to know what he wants to do. He just sat there still for, you know, 1.5 seconds, kind of debating, what am I gonna do next? What's the next step? And said question, or the answer rather to said question, is going to be extremely important, because if he goes for the wrong, you know, insertion point, he's going to be done for, just like his teammate before him. So his positioning is going to have to be extremely powerful if he wants to overcome the disadvantage of being in a 1v4 situation brings.
It really does seem like he's just going to take his time to communicate with his team on what they did wrong and what they can improve on, which, of course, is a good strategy going into any 1v4 situation. You definitely want to take your time, but at the same time, you want to be able to know what you did wrong and counter that and figure out what the defense is doing so that when they go back there or when they're given another opportunity to strike, they can be more prepared. Now, what this is going to do for us, though, if the attack loses, is force the defense to go right back to Garage. And in effect, they could potentially counter-strat the attack from the first round if they choose to do the same strategy, which then could lead towards another win for the defense. So I'm quite interested to see what the proceeding of next round is going to be rather than even this one, which, yeah, the defenders wanted out anyways. Well, of course, we expected that, but another thing to point out about this last round would be the fact that the push from the attack really felt Latin America-esque. When I say that, I mean it was very gun skilly. They expected their gun skill, their overall technical ability to reign supreme in any engagement that they walked into. They were a little bit ill-informed when it came to droning things out and knowing where the defense was, but in their minds it was like, that's okay, I'm gonna be able to overpower, gun skill my way through this, peak really aggressive angles, because last round it worked and it might be able to work this time around as well. I think, of course, it's a forward way of, I guess, me psychoanalyzing it, but you can definitely fill in the blanks and imagine what this really could be all about.
I kind of have to give you credit on that. I kind of analyze it in a different way, but it's just a roundabout way of saying basically the same thing. I did not really like how Marincito wasted basically a minute. He went up to on the roof. He tried a few different angles, knowing full well the defenders were not going to peek him. This is not a casual game, or should I say, quick play game now. And he's going up against really high level enemies. So the thing is, once he realized he was not going to get the kill with, gun skill alone, he did not exactly know what to do. And that showed. He had multiple examples of basically not knowing what to do, of hesitations, which led to him just wasting his time, whereas he began with a minute on the clock. That was a lot. And it just dissipated really quickly. With that being said, let's just jump into the third round here, because that round is definitely underway. Serious Gamer is going to be our roamer here. Let's just take a moment to underline this. Chapper was the roamer previously, who was attempting aggressive spawn kills. This time it's going to be Serious Gamer. Let's see if he lives up to the precedent that his counterpart has set. So far, he has made his position known, but has evaded the attacker's scrutiny really well, and that has a great potential to basically waste time. However, DK does not seem to be too intent on figuring out where the roamers are. He's just going to look at the ceiling, or the floor rather, and trying to get into the OBJ first. And, he's going to have teammates watching over his back second.
Right, so the attack already has control of piano and bathroom, which isn't necessarily a good sign for the defense, being that they have an early pick on verticality. Unless Vigil here has something to say about that. This could be a potential engagement between Zofia and Vigil comes out. Not unscathed,
surviving, but not
Zofia
getting the kill.
As well.
Wow, okay. Can I just say, Vigil kind of potato there. He had every advantage in the world. And,
a little bit.
Yeah. And now his position is known. Oh wow, he gets a nice wallbang though. That was a lifesaver here. Still, he's gonna be really low on health. However, the ultimate goal of him roaming is to waste time, and as such, by staying alive, granted he didn't get the kill on Zofia, but still Zofia cannot 100% attack the bomb site itself or turn all of her attention to said site, because this is exactly what happens. Frag, an immediate refrag, and now the push is unilateral with no vertical support. Actually, Serious Gamer is gonna have control of verticality, getting a nice kill, and Yuxi Frosky getting another frag at the very same time. Protest Champions winning the third round.
I honestly think this round just came down to a lot more effective and efficient roaming. We can definitely see that Vigil had way more of an impact on the round than did the previous Vigil, Chapper, if I'm correct with the name pronunciation.
Yes.
But yeah, Vigil, again, like you were saying, he wasted time. he was able to play off of the verticality. The unilateral push was there due to the fact that Zofia was fragged out by the Vigil. And I felt that he was the entire playmaker of that round. He was able to prevent the Zofia from sitting there and supporting the execute. And then on top of that, he prevented the diffuser bearer from actually making the execute as well. And you basically just left the single attacker on their own, a little bit lost, having to fend off three, not two, but three different defenders from different angles.
So there we go. After winning 2 rounds in a row, well, Protest champions are going to be forced into a tertiary bomb site, which is without any surprise going to be the press conference, aka piano, and the lobby. Like, you wouldn't really expect them to be going into the new room, would you? Quote unquote, we spent in the game for multiple months at this point. Nonetheless, this should give Vita a slight advantage in the fact that it's simply a weaker objective to defend. Let's see if set advantage is going to be enough for Vita to, regain the lost ground here that Protest champion have been able to gather. Wow, and that's going to be an aggressive spawn peak this time by everybody spawn killing in that team, aren't they?
It seems so.
And it seems to be working, right? At this point, Vita should be expecting it, yet it just keeps on working. DK finding a way into the building without causing the barricade to collapse on itself, so he might be on his way to, stealthily creep onto the objective. On his own, he's not, gonna flush it out, get the diffuser planted, that kind of stuff. But he still has a nice potential. I yet have to see what exactly he wants to do with that. Like, is he gonna go on an anti-roaming phase? Is he gonna push the diffuser, the objective head on? He seems to be going for the objective, and Chap was there waiting for him. So, that's not gonna be advantage surprise lost. But not the entire initiative has been lost, as the next round here, or the next, phase would be the anti-roaming phase. We can clearly know that somebody is right there. That's gonna be Mute, who gets a kill.
So unfortunate. An anti-roaming phase stopped in its track, which means that Thermite, once again, is left on his lonesome to fend himself off from 5 different defenders. This could shape up to be a pretty flawless round for the defenders. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Thermite does not have the diffuser in his hand, and once again, he's going to be taking the time to speak with his teammates and say, hey, what went wrong with that roam clear? What made it so we couldn't technically win out the round? Of course, he is going to be making moves, but slow ones at that. Ones that, don't really take very much thought, that can be made up within a very easy or one-track mindset. Now, this is going to be an engagement between Mute and Thermite, but of course, Mute coming in with the shotgun, it's no contest.
Oh, it was absolutely no contest whatsoever. And that's going to be a flawless round. Basically, Caster's Curse, like you put it last game, I think is perfect. I said this seems to be looking to be a fairly, even out game, and now we're in a 3-1 scoreline. My question to you would be, how is this map balanced? Like, is it defense-sided, attack-sided? Might we say that both teams are on an equal footing if we see this 3-1 scoreline, or is really just Protest champions dominating Vita with reason?
Well, there are a lot of factors that go into this map. That's a bit of the problem. What stands is that utility is key when you're making a push. And playing with your team is also key when making a push, especially in that last round. I feel that if the attack didn't play so individually when making a roam clear where they kind of just one-on-one every single roamer, they could have used refrags to their advantage, and it could have been a lot less collateral, a lot less kind of very high stakes for the attack. But, I mean, of course, I still like the way that they attempted it. If they just did that a little bit more coordinated, it could be very, very advantageous for them in the future. But yeah, going back to that, there's a lot of different factors that play into who's going to win out a round or not. And, like I said, utility is also key. Hard breach can be key, but not as much in Consulate specifically. I would say, though, that one of the biggest things you can do is play on duality with the push, kind of push from two different areas in an attempt to make the roam clear happen. And then from there, you get time to yourself to either play off of verticality, to make an extended push in somewhere, or simply just attack the objective as best as you can.
Indeed. You really do underline that there are a few choices that always do present themselves. Like, if you cannot flush out the roamers, just grab a hold of the objective itself and then force them into a retake position. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I'm just saying if plan A doesn't work, you gotta have a plan B. With that being said, once again, Protest champions are going to get a pick on with the spawn kill. This time it was Dog who got it with the ACOG on the second floor. The thing is, Vita, they absolutely know that the spawn kills are coming, right? Every single round, somebody's dying to Protest champions fire in their own spawns. This is just not sustainable, and we're seeing the results of it. 3-1. If Vita are not able to tip the scales in their favor, or if they cannot, change the rate at which they win rounds, they might find themselves into an impossible situation within just a few rounds. So I kind of feel like even though the game is not that far into its life cycle, that one match I should say, we're still getting close to a tipping point here.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
Right. But 3v4 situation, flurry of kills is going to come out on the hands of the attack as well as the defense. Marcito's going to be going down, but as well Doc in the same breath. And wow, Frosty's going to be holding a long line. I like that line that's being held on yellow stairs, as well as another defender being Bull. But right, we still have Jackal holding on long desk as well as the CEO office. So there are a lot of countering angles being held, and my question is, how is the attack and defense going to play against this? But my question is answered, as the defense is going to get a little bit aggressive here. LatAm is holding these guys to a pulp. They're getting beat up. So unfortunate. 1v3 situation. It's all up to Jackal to make it a reality, to win out a round on top floor. Now, Jackal, yeah, he does have the diffuser in hand, so he has that ability to plant. Question is he going to get it down in the last 10 seconds without every single defender either pushing him or taking the advantage? And right, he won't. He will die, so sadly. But something to be learned by this round would definitely be push with your team. Push with your team. Don't sit there and hold stagnant angles, because you know what? I think the execute is far greater of a strategy to be taken seriously than an all-out team deathmatch, which is what some maps actually can provide better. To phrase it, kind of to put it in the best words I can at the moment, it basically, Consulate is much better for an execute, much better for a plant scenario, and I like how Jackal had that initiative to walk in, but he just was not with this team, and he was basically alone, and his team got killed off all around him. They were playing very individually. It seems like they were kind of lost in the way that they were pushing.
So with all that being said, we are going to find ourselves into a rehost situation. I have forgotten his name. Please Drone had the sound issue where his sound was off completely, so he has to restart the game. And as such, well, there's going to be a rehost accompanying this. We will be resuming in a 5-1 situation, a 4-1 situation for the 5-1, my bad. 5-1 for the sixth round for the role swap, basically for the next for the round right before the role swap, rather.
Hello?
Is everybody already in the game? No. Okay, so that's gonna be Protest champion Marancito receiving his invite as well. And let's just recreate the round's history. What was their exact name? VitaCelestineFanClub. And the other team was, of course, Protest Champions. Oh yeah, by the way,
Hans.
Princess. Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Chapper.
Hey, Chapper. Protest champion. Yeah, protest champion with an S, but there's a character's limit on the
So
R6 game.
who's that female you're casting with? She sounds pretty hot.
Alrighty.
So my co-caster is Girafero, if you want to know. And yeah, I'm not gonna get more into that.
What's her Instagram?
Oh, what did he
Sorry
say?
for asking.
He asked who my co-caster is, saying you sound pretty hot, and I'm getting your gamer. Your gamer tag is no secret, but I'm not going. I'm not delving in deeper than that. So the bands were Thatcher, Blackbeard, Echo, and Valkyrie. There we go. The round's history was Garage, won by the blue team. After that, we went Console, won. Everything else was won by Orange team. Actually, we went Garage again, Orange team victory. We went. This is the fourth round, right? Lobby, won by the Orange team. That's why the casting notebook is crucial, to have a log of the round's history. Fifth round was Console. The one we just saw basically was Console. Once again won by Orange team. Just to be sure, blue team pops up once. Orange team 1, 2, 3, 4. 4-1 scoreline. Sounds good. This is where we were, right? Yes, after De La Shadow, Jackal losing his 1v3. It produced the 1-4 scoreline for advantage of Protest champions. All right.
Right. So, if we kind of were to outline a few of the defects in terms of the attack, of course, the losing side, I would definitely have to say that a lot of their shortcomings would be in the form of very aggressive pushes. I told you that they had a Latinum-esque push or a style to their execute, which means that they play very aggressively. They don't take as much time to, I guess you say, drone up their enemies or be very advised with how they're making moves on the objective or roam clearing, etc., etc. So I think they could truly benefit from taking the opportunity to either secure their positions where they are or maybe play a little bit more methodical, figure out where the defense really is, kind of secure their positions, and then make a push. You know, they have a lot of time to work with. They don't need to be so trigger happy when it comes to walking into a certain part of the building or making a very aggressive execute, trying to save as much time as they can. Because we know as casters that the best teams take all 3 minutes. They can take up to all 3 minutes to make their push, to play very methodical, because in the end, time doesn't necessarily matter as long as you get the execute and as long as you win out the round.
Right, absolutely. And what you said is also 100% being supported by the chat. Just to take the one comment by R6 Raptor, really too much face checking. They should drone more.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that.
This is exactly what you were saying, right? Not enough, not methodical enough, and all that good stuff is exactly what you said. Just compressed into a one sentence statement here. We are going to be seeing the last round before the role swap. So this is the last time, basically, for Protest Champions to win some cheeky kills with the spawn kills again. Let's see if Vita are going to fall for it again. Let's, for their sakes, hope not, because it's a really unfortunate way of losing players at the very beginning of the round.
It really is. You got to be watching your windows, man. It's you can't be losing, players right off the bat. It's so detrimental because we know that statistically the teams that get the first frag, the opening kill of the round, tend to go on to win the round due to the fact that it either deters the other team mentally, you know, utility-wise, hard-breaching-wise, depending on the impact of the frag, just whatever you may call it, it's always going to have that negative impact on whatever they do.
So there's going to be this one only chap trying to go for the spawn kills, and this time he was absolutely expected. Yet, Nomad took a bit of damage, but overall it's a negligible amount, considering or assuming that this is going to be, you know, laying the groundwork for Vita to gather information on Chap's position and then to go for a comprehensive anti-roaming phase to flush him out. That seems to be a phase check, pretty aggressive from Delas, and he actually gets the kill. So that's going to be absolutely 100% for sure paying dividend later on, since, you know, getting rid of those roamers guarantees you that you can, for example, play the verticality without having, without being afraid that somebody's going to creep up behind you and get a cheeky kill from behind. And as such, well, Vita, they're pretty well off now. Verticality is absolutely being played. Also, not losing Jackal, for example. He has a shotgun, with Buck not being in the composition, or Sledge for that matter. Well, he would be the prime candidate to, well, open up the floor, right? And the pressure is absolutely going to be mounting. For example, here, Sirius already, you know, just throwing away bullets to his enemy to just keep the pressure off. And in the meantime, I don't know if Thermite has already opened up the main wall, but, you know, not too many guns are pointed at the garage door simply because of the vertical pressure. That could be a recipe for disaster.
It really could, but you say that the roaming strategy has been completely done away with. Technically, it hasn't, due to the fact that Bull is still roaming. He still can make himself a good engagement here between himself and the Jackal hiding in archives. It doesn't seem like Jackal knows exactly where Bull is hiding. So yeah, he can drone himself out, but is it going to be enough? That's going to be our essential question. Now, 3-4 situation is going to show that Bull is going to have to make a move soon. He's going to have to either capitalize on the Jackal and move back to the objective, or just take the opportunity to rotate, but he'll kill the Jackal, in fact, and put us to a 4v2 situation. Now, Plant is still going down, so that's not a good situation for the defense. We know that it's going to be very much harder once the Plant does go down for a retake opportunity to take place. And the Plant, it is officially down. 2v4 situation still, so the attack can play very well off of this if they play it smart.
And playing it smart is absolutely what they're doing. You know, they're taking angles, they're going for time. My question is, should somebody get the cheeky angle on the diffuser, would they be in a position to block it? Because they're pretty far away, you know? And exactly, IQ was going to be in a position to deny that. However, IQ herself is going to be denied by a nasty bullet to the face. And that's going to be Bull getting the final kill. And as such, well, Dog's going to destroy the diffuser, and Protest champions are going to win round 6.
There you have it. That was a pretty action-packed round, especially at the end where the diffuser was able to go off. Now, one thing that's interesting about that is the fact that there was no vertical pressure from either team while the diffuser was going off. So either team could have really taken advantage of that and played tenfold off of whichever team was making moves at the time. You could have had Jaeger positioned in piano and waiting for the plant to go off and stopped it even before it happened, and could have saved the amount of collateral that happened. Or you could have had the IQ move all the way up to piano and be able to capitalize on the very, very aggressive defenders sitting in garage attempting to peek out the Nomad.
So, round 7, the role swap has just occurred, and Protest champions are leading 5-1. This is going to be an extremely steep hill for Vita to climb, to climb if they want to just, well, win out the map. With that being said, not everything is over and done. And the one thing I really like to point out every time there's a role swap in basically every game is that Vita, well, they're going to be bringing operators to the table that Protest champions never once selected when they themselves were defending, which is going to, in turn, breathe a puff of fresh air, pronunciation, into the game. Basically, for example, we have not, I believe, yet seen Wamai this exact game. And there you go. Police drone is making absolutely certain that no frag grenades or flash grenades, whatever, will find their way into projector room. Combine that with the presence of Jaeger, I will find it extremely surprising if anything should detonate in the general area of the objective itself. However, the utility of that is going to be doubtful, or the usefulness of that is going to be doubtful, since, you know, a flash grenade, yeah, sure, but a frag grenade would be really important to counter. However, you're countering, well, a piece of utility that the attackers are not even bringing to the table.
Couldn't agree with you more. Now, one interesting instance in the team composition of the attack definitely would be the Ash. Now, we know Ash is, of course, your, statistically speaking, your standard fragging entry fragger operator, but in competitive play, you don't normally see her being played as much. She definitely gets overridden by bigger utility operators that could pose more of a threat throughout the round. Yeah, right, such as Zofia. But, of course, Zofia is not going to be used. Or, sorry, Zofia is not going to take her place, as she already is being used on the team composition. But you could definitely switch her out with somebody like Buck, right, who has frags and has, you know, presents more of a direct utility use than Ash. Of course, they hold a similar thing of use. They hold a similar gadget. But, you know, Buck just kind of does more in effect.
Absolutely. By the way, going on a tangent here real quick, have you seen the designer's notes accompanying, you know, the latest patch note on Ubisoft's, well, say, press release? Because they reveal, and as I take these drones' positioning, he runs, or POV I should say, he runs out, gets a kill, but gets refragged immediately. That's going to be, well, Chap off the board. Top fragger for his team, so the trade, well, strictly speaking, kind of seems to be worth it. However, Vita were already on a disadvantaged position man-wise, so I'm not sure if that was too good of an idea. Still, the defenders, Vita, are absolutely holding on to the bomb sites themselves, which, well, since we're only 33 seconds remaining on the clock, could prove absolutely vital. You might try to plant, but that Evil Eye is going to make its best to make it impossible. It is, however, going to overheat before anything else can be done. Jaeger getting another kill. It's now 2v3 situation. 16 seconds on the clock. It is going to come down to the wire for the attackers. Soli here has the diffuser, so anything Circus Gamer does is going to be null and void if Nomad here was to die, and that's exactly what happens. But the other way around, Zofia is now down. So 1 second remaining. He gets him down, but that's not going to be enough, as he did not get the diffuser planted. Neither was that guy. I believe it was Jaeger, the last operator alive on his team. As such, the attackers will unfortunately lose the round due to the timer running down to 0. It is fairly rare that we see this situation happening.
It is. It was an entire comeback from the defense. But I really like to see it, because you can tell they played that very smartly. They played a lot off of intel and wasted enough time where the attackers were a little pressed to make a move into the objective, and when they finally had made a move, they were very isolated from one another, which made it that much easier for intel to take precedence and allow the defenders, the remaining ones, to make moves on the attackers. Therefore, well, they won out their engagements, and a game of underestimation took place. So the attack was basically run out, and they were not able to secure enough of the objective to where they could make an execute in the first place.
So here's something that we might be able to, you know, extrapolate off of the first round that we've seen Vita defending. Vita had a really, and I do mean really hard time attacking, but yet that now that they've defended on their first round, it seemed fairly easy to them. You know, they did not stress or sweat it up too much. It was, you know, a round that was fairly substantially in their favor. Could we say that Vita are leagues ahead defense-wise than their offensive capabilities? Or is it just that the map is favoring the defense? Because depending on the answer, you might say Vita are going to regain their rounds, or, you know, maybe not. with that being said, a Maestro roaming is something that you don't see every day. He seems to go for the peak. In between those two windows, it's going to be a bit dangerous what he's doing here, yet he absolutely goes for it. Looking at it though, it was the wrong call as Buck is right above him, getting a few hits into him just by destroying the floor. He did not intentionally, I believe, shoot into Maestro, who is now cut off the objective. He cannot come back down because you see two silhouettes right here holding onto the yellow staircase. Niv is in a really tough spot here, so he's just gonna double down and embrace the roaming role, apparently going to go against Buck, who is so far seemingly oblivious to his presence. We're going to go for the peak, and yes, he was looking at the floor, and that's going to be an easy kill for Niv, who now will find himself into the real pickle because he's not a roaming operator. Heavy as he is with a gadget that's not going to help him out in the current situation, he will be really easy to pick off for the attackers.
Indeed, but we're just gonna have to see how his presence will evolve as time plays out. With about 1:15 left on the clock, yeah, you see a battle eye ban. Holy, that's a ban wave for you.
That was.
Jeez, that's a ban wave. But 44 situation as Morosito gets refragged. That's a huge fragger for the defense, but also in response, we're gonna be seeing Bull. He picks up one. That's I can't even pronounce the name. I'm so bad at pronunciation with names, but that's Mozzie. We'll say off the board. So that's a bathroom presence. Yeah, more of the roam has been pulled apart and basically violated in that way. They are desecrated utterly, and just like that, Maestro goes down. So unfortunate. This puts us to a 3v2 situation. It still could be in the hands of the defense if DK can find a way to retake the objective. Picks up one, that's a good kill on his part. Throws out the nitro cell and picks up another, that's a double, but the diffuser has already been put into place. This puts it to a 1v1 situation, so this man is playing off of instincts entirely. A peak is going to have to go out. He's going to have to play very, very aggressive. Intensity is gathering. Will he make the counter plan, or is he going to make the peak? He baits it out and he grabs the kill. What an amazing kill. Triple kill for himself. That is the defense winning out their third round.
And there you go. The defensive side really does seem inherently advantaged here, so we might be seeing the beginning of a Vita comeback. We would yet be in the infancy stage of said comeback. However, you know, the track record that they have so far is out of 2 rounds, they won 2 defenses. So 100% so far. Let's just remind ourselves, however, that Vita, they can't allow themselves one single mistake. As should Protest champions win the next round, well, they would be in a match point situation. So Vita, though they're not yet in a backs against the wall situation, they should already consider themselves as such if they don't want to commit, you know, a stupid mistake, which would put them in a no comeback situation. That last round was absolutely magnificent, though. Like, DK pulling off the triple kill. It's unfortunate that he did not toss the natural cell a few milliseconds earlier, as it came down to the wire diffuser plant-wise. Had he been, you know, half a second earlier, we would have seen a totally different round with the same outcome, granted, since he would have had an even easier time to defend the objective and the diffuser at this point. Yet, after winning 2 defensive rounds in a row, Vita will have to try their hands themselves at defending the tertiary bomb site. I don't know. Tertiary bomb site. So that's going to be, I think, the biggest challenge that they're going to be facing, because should you know, they lose this round, and should the same pattern repeat for the 3 next upcoming rounds, Protest champions will win the game.
Right, and you could definitely tell that the attack this round, their composition is playing off of the lobby press room. There's absolutely no hard breaching presence. You have all utility being put on the board, and I mean, they are just doing a top to bottom roam clear. You know, you love to see it because it definitely shows that they have an affinity for taking as much map control as they can and getting kills in the process, but the success of it could waver because we know that in the past when the tables were turned and of course the attack was on the defense was on the attack, whatever you want to call it, it was a very different situation where the attack was entirely shut down. So will they be able to do the same, or are they going to get shut down themselves?
Forcing Smoke to use his toxic waves without a single minute being played on the clock does not look good for the defense here. So Vita was kind of forced to abandon the control they had on a long desk. A long desk that would rather be, yeah, there you go. Long desk is now going to be down, but projector as well. Niv getting not exactly back up, but still holding on to the hatch itself, so that's not looking pretty good. However, Nomad absolutely strong with the refrag. Now a 2v2 situation, and the diffuser is technically speaking on site. So should Chap be in a position to cover his teammate? Solis could be planting. He's doing exactly that, and there we go. A nice kill, nice covering job by Chap. However, Martincito could maybe have been in a position to protect that diffuser. He was just too late, and there we go. Protest champions winning that the 9th round, and now being in a match point situation. It's kind of like I predicted. Should the same 3-round history repeat itself a second time, Protest champion have already won.
Indeed.
It kind of seems like this would be the perfect time to talk about the famous point of no return. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, you pass it on to me this time, but I always pass it on to you. I always pass it on. Well, basically, the point of no return to us, it could be a foreign language to you guys, but to us it means that whatever side is at odds here to win it out, this time being, of course, I entirely escaped my mind there for a second. Vita would be
Protest
blue
champions.
and Protest champions would be orange, correct?
Yes.
All right, so Protest champions are at odds to win out this one, which means that the other side, being Vita, is essentially backs against the wall, like you were saying, right? They cannot make a single mistake, otherwise it's going to cost them the entire game, this entire setup here. And therefore they're going to get eliminated, and they're going to have to go home, try again next week. But that's not the point, right? The point is that they are so far down the line. A comeback is very, very scarce in this situation, definitely, right? The score line is, I believe, 2-6 right now.
3-6.
Or 3-6? 3-6, right. 3-6.
Casting off a phone, are we?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to see, but 3-6, which means that it basically means that they have to climb up 3 rounds. That's a very steep climb. If you're talking, you know, no mistakes can be made, nothing can be done wrong on the side of Vita. So essentially, comeback is going to be very hard for them. Not technically impossible, but it's definitely, it's going to be a challenge for them.
And, you know, Vita seems to be keenly aware of that. So, Please Drone had a really nice positioning through the hatch. He got a nice kill on Serious Gamer, well, in the main lobby. And that's already going to be putting Vita at odds of winning the game, even though they only have a 1-man advantage. It's not too substantial, and, you know, Protest champions can absolutely come back from that. But still, if Vita are in a position to, you know, take advantage of the slight, upper hand that they have right now, they could just increase the advantage they have and just snowball out of effect from there. For example, Marcito here is in a good position to just shut down 2 potential attackers. And as such, and there we go, Please John, unfortunately being bested. However, should Dog stay strong here, he would shut down an entire arm of the attack, but that's just not gonna happen. Niv will thus find himself in a technically 1v3 situation. He does have some help, but, you know, there's only so much DK can do. Niv is really on the front lines here. Let's see. Oh no, there's a Claymore! And he just has to run back. Was that a team kill? It was not, but DK also fired a few rounds here. So it would have been a team kill no matter what, I believe. And reloading and fire is somewhat dangerous. The thing is, as soon as he goes down, his leg extends into the fire, and if he stays crouched, well, he was visible, thus leaving us with the Lachas in 1v4-3 situation. I'm not sure, but Bull here will win it out and bring his teammates and himself in a semi-final situation, I believe. This is looking pretty good for them.
Definitely is. Sorry about that. It was a great round for them, and I personally am looking forward to the rest of their bracket run.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, with that being said, here you see the scorelines. The one thing that was kind of surprising to me, Chapper was the absolute kill lead that last round on his team. This time, he wasn't. So the roles may have been switched. Something has happened here. He may no longer have been playing, too aggressively. He was roaming aggressively, but from round to round, somebody else was picking up Vigil and doing his job. On the replay here, it's really unfortunate to see Jaeger going for the aggressive push, then seeing the Claymore. He had to abort mid-round, and that just proved to be fatal. As said, aborted rotation was really, really easy to cut off. So was DK, to be honest, as well. And so he, like I said earlier on, tried to reload, but as soon as he went prone, well, his leg was on the fire, so he was in a tight spot as well. Basically, you have to come in Capital on that shot, because that definitely was the single factor as to why the kill ended up happening. And it just snowballed out of control from there on. I kind of talked about the snowball effect, assuming it would happen to Vita since they got first kill, but no, Protest champions were able to turn it upside down and to they themselves get the snowball effect going.